So while we were on the wait list for the developmental pediatrician, we continued to do outside therapy. She was getting speech and occupational therapy in school, but I mean, compared to outside private therapy, it's definitely not as much time, but that's what we were doing. So it was, gosh, at least a year and a half, if not 2 years later, that we had actually seen a developmental pediatrician, and we're in there for about 30 minutes, and they diagnosed her with ADHD. And of course, she was nervous at the appointment, not sitting down, touching everything, not really focusing, which she does kind of get when she's nervous, but she's not always like that. And so of course they said, well, she's ADHD and we don't think she meets the social requirement in their eyes for ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder. And they wanted to put her on medication right away. And I talked with my husband and I thought, well, at that point I was desperate. I was like, if we think that meds are going to help her, let's do it, and my husband was adamant, like, I don't want her to be on meds. And as a mom, you start to think like, well, what if this changes everything, But we didn't end up doing that because her teacher at school at this point, she's in first grade, still in a special education classroom, said, hey, did they perform the ADOS? I'm not quite sure what it stands for, but it's the test specifically for autism. And I said, no, it was just a regular doctor's appointment. They observed her for 30 minutes and said, hey, she's got ADHD. You want to give her, let's try Ritalin. So I found a company outside of my developmental pediatrician who just tests for autism. So luckily we got that appointment within a month or two. We did the evaluation and, a month later, they diagnosed her with autism. And the developmental pediatrician, funnily enough, asked me, hey, were you disappointed that I didn't say she had autism today? And I said, well, no. I don't think any parent wants their kid to have to go through something like that or anything else, any other medical condition or any other thing that makes life more difficult. And so I thought that was kind of weird that she did ask that, because as a mom, I'm like, no. I don't. If I had the choice, I would choose for none of that to apply to my kids. So again, that was just kind of weird and odd. But anyway, we went through with the testing. She got the diagnosis, and then in the state of Arizona, you can apply for special insurance through the state for kids who have certain disabilities. Autism is one of them. It's not just confined to that. Where they get extra resources for therapies and stuff like that. So today was Brody's first day of ABA therapy, and we chose to unenroll her from public school and do ABA therapy full-time, which is behavior therapy, because someone did tell me a great piece of advice that I did get is, hey, a lot of times we can't work on the behavior and work on the academics at the same time. Sometimes we have to let's get the behavior under control and then we can work on learning, because her behavior definitely impedes her learning. So that was a great piece of advice, but it was difficult to decide to pull her out of school.